A very good morning to you. Welcome to Rumi TV Africa. This is newspaper review, Thursday morning. I am your host Regina Mwangi, and today I have my panelist besides me.
Thank you, and my name is Abel. Welcome to the show.
Yes, I'm yours, Shannon. Welcome to the show.
On our first story, revealed why Kevin Otieno's family fears going back to the morgue. Last week we had the killing of Kevin Otieno in Mihango, Utawala, who was killed, who was shot 36 times, and he died. Now the relatives and the family are living in fear because the thugs may come at them anytime. The family of Kevin Otieno, who was shot 36 times in Mihango, Utawala in Nairobi County last month, went to the city mortuary only once to view the body and has never gone back, the nation can now reveal. Investigations revealed the police officers who took Otieno's body to the mortuary on September 23, 2022, filed his identity as unknown and indicated the cause of death as shooting murder. A report indicating that the deceased was murdered through shooting means he was killed by unknown people. A close family member said the circumstances that led to his death had left the family shaken. The relatives said they feared that the gunman who killed Otieno might go after more people, as they had even abducted his brother, Mr. Alfred Odhiambo, early the same day Otieno was killed. It's a bit shocking story. You know, just waking up one day and you are shot 36 times without any consent. Maybe we live among enemies. So what's your take on that, Abel?
Okay. We keep on reading stories or hearing stories each and every day about the murder, robbery, and all those. Mm-hmm. We are looking forward to see the steps that the government will gonna take, mm-hmm, so that we can end, mm-hmm, this issue, doing with robbery and all such unnecessary incidences, all insecurity at large. So it's up to the government. As we don't have the authority, we don't have the power, but it's up to the government.
Yeah, Shala?
It's a very sad story, but at the same time we have many questions about the root cause of this death. The fact that they had also abducted their brother, which means maybe there is something in that family or someone who is chasing after them.
Yeah.
So I think security should be done on that family so that they can protect the brothers and sisters to Kevin, and also the security officers to do the investigation keenly to ensure that it's no murder again.
Yeah, thank you so much for your sentiments. So one of the family members was saying it is hard for the family to make a move because the gunman first started by picking up his brother, and now everybody fears that if they keep on going to the mob, the gunman might go after them, except the family member who spoke in confidence due to the sensitivity of the matter. So I think the government should intervene for this family because they are still in fear of their lives. They're still in fear of their families and their loved ones, because any time can be their last. So switching on to the next story.
Let's tackle this very interesting story. Mm-hmm. A relief to the teachers. I think teachers will be smiling where they are at the moment, because 116,000 new teachers to be hired as state stops delocalization. So here there are two very interesting issues. 100,000 and 16,000 teachers, new teachers to be employed, and another one is delocalization.
Okay.
As you know, delocalization of teachers had started, whereby teachers were transferred to far away. Okay, teachers were not allowed to work near their homes, or the count of birth. So they were transferred far away, hence making them to separate with their families, because at times they may not move with their families. So let's see what it is. Hiring could be done in batches within a period of 2 years due to budget constraints. So the 116,000 teachers will be hired in batches. So it means that they won't be hired at the same time. DP said the localization separated families since many were transferred to far French areas. The government has announced that the recruitment of some 116,000 teachers will kick off next week. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua revealed that a meeting with Teachers Service Commission (TSC) has been scheduled next week to kickstart the process. The revelation came as Gachagua announced that the recruitment of the new teachers will be done in batches within a period of 2 years due to budgetary constraints. Also, the head of state on the same. Okay, let's read further. We had a meeting with the Kenya Revenue Authority (KRA) and asked them to ensure they raise at least 3 trillion shillings this financial year to enable us to recruit more teachers and finance other government programs, said Gachagua. And speaking separately, President William Ruto said the first cohort of 30,000 teachers will be employed in January next year. We have agreed with TSC that from January they will have recruited 30,000 more teachers. Some will be employed on permanent and pensionable basis, while some will in interns. So,
Okay.
So here it means the first batch will be employed on January. That's 30,000 of them, and the rest as we move on. So as I can say, or I can see, it's gonna take some years, or it's gonna take some time, because they said 116, and now the first batch will be 30,000, and that's in January. So it will take time, and then they also said that the aged, or those who are almost retiring, to be transferred to their nearest homes so that they can retire from them. So I don't know what you can say about that.
Okay, I understand. I understand in the same story, it is where the bigger Gachagua said that CBC is here to stay and it was not going to be eliminated. So it's a good thing, because again there are students and parents who had already adapted the system. So it being, it's staying and it's going to continue, it's good for the parents, because it can affect the psychological system of the kids. So I believe, but again, this CBC system, it's good and it's going to stay. But again, I always say that they have to consider those areas, those remote areas, those areas which cannot be, parents cannot afford some stuff. Yeah, that's my take.
So my take on that, I can say that it's a good decision that they've made, because I think many of the families break up because of those far distances. I think it will help to bring back families together and also to help the Kenyan child.
Yeah. And the next story.
Okay, coming to another story is that yesterday, the Azimio leader Raila Odinga was in Mathare yesterday. It says that Raila cheers into Ruto's government of failed flour and fuel promises. So, there's a quote that it says, Baba is here. I have earned your cries and suffering after going quiet for a while. I have come here to hear you and I'm ready to help you, saying Raila to his cheering supporters. So on this day, we can see that Raila is back after being quiet after a while. So actually some question is in my mind, bearing in my mind that Raila is the most opponent leader of this government, the Kenya Kwanza government. And do we think that Raila is coming again so that he may get a chance that he can stand up in the next 2027 election? So what's your take on that?
So I believe, he's coming back. Is some coming back of a blame game. He's coming to blame the president for flaw and failed promises. First I will start with this, Mr. Raila. You cannot just come, instead of seeing the good already that has been done, you start, like blaming the president and like demeaning him and saying, he has failed in the promises he made. It's one thing at a time, and he's a human. And he have to do things, one after the other, He cannot, again when it comes to fuel and to flour, already we had the former stock. And I always say, subsidy of a product cannot be made if you have not looked at the production itself. So already he did the step of lowering the fertilizer, right? And it is with that fertilizer that we'll have our flour going down once the fertilizer, now that season of that fertilizer that is cheap has come. But the former stock already, you cannot lower that price, and there are people who bought it with a lot of money. It will be unfair to the producers and to the manufacturers. So I think Mr. Raila is coming back just to blame, and it is time he knows that the government is on toes. The government knows what it's doing. So you cannot just come and blame the government the way you just want. So I believe him coming back is some type of blame game. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my take on that, Raila coming back is a good move, because in any government, in any regime, we need opposition. So it's according to me, according to what I've read, Raila is back to opposition fully. So, and that's a good thing, because when a government does not have an opposition or critics or someone who is criticizing it, it may fail to perform, because anything they suggest, they do it their own way. So Raila is here to watch, and it's a good thing, I think. Yeah, it's a good move.
Okay, maybe Travis died because I am poor. A mother's pain after child's slow, agonizing death. Now, Judy Muthoni, who is 29 years old, sits pensively on a wooden chair opposite her one-room mud walled house inside what looks like a small struggling village at Ndula Village, Thika East in Kiambu County. She breaks down every time she is asked about the events of Monday this week, when one of her 3 boys hit his youngest brother, Travis Maina, aged 2.5 years, with a fork djembe, and it ended up firmly lodged in the head, eventually leading to his death. My son was talking all through. His last request was water, says Muthoni, her face lined in grief. Now, Maina was playing with his 2 brothers, aged 8 and 6 years, when the accident happened. The 3 were playing under a mango tree just outside their house when their uncle Hussein Jau heard a scream from one of the older boys who said Travis had been hit on the head. I jumped on a motorbike and rushed Maina to Ndula dispensary, but unfortunately, nothing was happening there, since Monday was a public holiday. So we sought help from a local doctor who owns a pharmacy in the area. He detached the long wooden handle from the fork djembe so that we could fit in his small car, and then he rushed us to Thika Level 5 Hospital. Joe tells the Daily Nation yesterday at the scene of the accident. It's a bit sad story, because this boy just died and he was hit by the brother by a fork djembe, and again being taken to the hospital. We are told first he was taken to a government hospital, and because it was a holiday, the boy was not taken care of. Okay. And then, now he was taken to another Thika level 5 hospital, administered first aid to my son, and later called an ambulance that took us to Kenyatta National Hospital. So Thika level still, it never helped this boy. You understand? Now this is a series of hospitals we are seeing. First a government hospital, and because it is a holiday, they cannot even care for the health of this son. And then taken to another Thika level 5 hospital, of which it's level 5, so it's, I believe it's a big hospital. So the only thing that was done is a first aid. So an ambulance was called to be taken to Kenyatta Hospital. Let's see how it happened. After being taken to KNH, after paying the amount, first we arrived at Kenyatta at 6:35 p.m. that's evening. We were asked to pay 1,260, which my sister Lucy Wamboi paid. No, I don't understand what that fee was. After paying the amount, we were told to pay an additional 20,500 shillings that we told them we could not raise, and after we failed to raise the amount, we spent Monday night and part of Tuesday morning at the casualty, where my son died while waiting to be admitted and taken to the theater in the afternoon, the mother explains. Now, the financial situation of Mrs. Muthoni is evident. At 6 years old, her second-born son is yet to join preschool. She tells her nation. She earns a casual job, earns 300 a day, and it's not consistent. So there's times this woman will get this 300, there's a time she will go home empty. I believe this is so painful, and this is so degrading and so disappointment from our hospitals, because we have seen so many hospitals being a failure, right?
Yeah.
Being a failure, because honestly, this is a kid. This is a mom who barely cannot even raise that amount. I think sometimes it calls for humanity. Not about the money, not about how the situation is. Sometimes it calls for humanity. Because life is so important. How do you think about this, Shalom?
Okay, I think it's a sad story. First, send our condolences to the family, but we have many questions about the government hospitals.
Yeah.
It's not the first case.
True.
Many government hospitals, especially these big ones, they don't take care of the patients, especially in the holidays, but they don't have money to cater for them.
Yeah.
So I think the government should at least talk with those big hospitals, those public hospitals, so that they can see the importance of caring of the importance of caring their patients, because that child is just an innocent child, and it will not have died because of that small thing, because it's just an holiday. So the government should look up on that.
Thank you for your sentiments. Next story.
The next, another interesting story is freedom for Rutoisaris facing criminal and graft cases. So the freedom, you know, I remember when the Kenya Kwanza was campaigning, they had this slogan, freedom
It's coming.
is coming. So it has started with them. Because if you look at the likes of among the list who have tested the freedom is Aisha Jumo, who was charged in August 2021 with conspiracy to defraud 19 million shillings from the Marindi National Government CDF kit. Another one is Mitika Linturi. He is also enjoying the freedom, but he was charged in September 2021 with intentionally attempting to rape a 36-year-old woman at Mayan Villa Hotel in Nanyuki. Another one is Moses Lenokural, charged in April 2019 with conspiracy to commit an economic crime by receiving 84,695,996 from the Samburu County governor. You know, Moses is the former Samburu governor, and he is also enjoying this freedom. You know, what I've picked from here, it's like the most people who have started enjoying this freedom are the Ruto allies. yeah, most of them have been also been nominated as cabinet secretaries. And then you see Aisha Juma is a nominee. Mithika Rinduri is also a nominee. But this case is a bit different. You know, rape. I don't see, or I don't see any how a whole CS can attempt rape. You know, like what was so unique in this woman that made the CS to make such an attempt. You know, I feel it is kind of okay. I don't know. I don't want to comment, but they had agreed to withdraw. They discussed it, they met, and they agreed to withdraw the case from court. So how can you take the incident, you know, of these people enjoying the freedom at large, the likes of Aisha Juma and all those? Is it political, or it's a good move? You know, what's your comment?
It's not really a good move. Honestly speaking, this is not a long walk for freedom. I wouldn't call it that. Because first, these are leaders. These are people who have been placed in positions to serve the country, to serve the people of Kenya. And if you're caught with a crime, the law should be followed. Because just because you're a CS or someone prominent in the government doesn't mean that you're now excluded from the Constitution of Kenya. It doesn't mean you're excluded from the law of the people, right? Because we have seen Mwizi wa kuku, someone who steals a chicken, being taken to prison for almost even 5 years. And maybe this chicken was stolen because of hunger. It's also unfair, and I believe the government, I don't know how I would call this government, but it's also unfair. Because Mr. President, as much as these people are your allies, they committed a crime. You know, how can you attempt, you're a whole CS, how can you attempt to rape a 36-year-old woman? Okay, the DPP, Nurdin Haji, who had accused Aisha Jumwa, if Aisha Jumwa had not been chosen as the CS cabinet secretary, would this DPP withdraw that case? Do you think so?
I don't think so.
So I think this is some bit of corruption that has been done, you know, underground, because we cannot understand. But I believe something has been done, has been cooked in the government kitchen, so that this Aisha Jumwa, the case can be withdrawn. This is also unfair, and these men, they don't even deserve the respect of Kenya.
Do you feel there is government interference?
There's government interference, basically, yes. And I blame Mr. President himself. I always support him, but this time I disagree. Yeah.
Anything else to add?
Mine is to second.
Okay.
Law must be followed.
Yeah, the law must be followed. If you have committed a crime, it doesn't matter where you stand in the government. The law should be taken accordingly against you.
Okay, thank you. That is it. Next story.
Okay, coming to the next story, we have been told that MPs approved him to vet Ruto's cabinet nominees. So this happened yesterday where Moses Wetangula. So we are told that a committee was selected so that they can lead that vetting. And it is supposed to be, the committee is expected to start the vetting next week. So what's your take on that?
Mine is just to say, you know, the whole process, I don't think that there is someone who will face rejection, or the nominees will go through. Someone asked me why.
Why?
Because it's like I asked myself that question, but it's okay. You know, as I can see, there is government interference in the whole process. The people who are in the front line are the Ruto allies, you know.
Yeah.
So we cannot expect that the likes of Moses Wetangula will reject Aisha Juma. because they have been in the same political party.
Yeah.
They have been supported, you know, they have, it's like they have the same intentions.
True.
So it's like this thing was done long time ago.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, it's like we are going to have a replay of whatever had also that had happened before.
Yeah.
So that's what I can say. Like, don't expect anyone or anybody to be rejected by the team that was selected yesterday.
Yeah, mine is also the same. I believe this is already a choice that was made. So they're just fooling Kenyans that there is some kind of vetting. Because the same people who are appointed by the president himself, they're going to be the CSs. Yeah, but I don't think there's rejection that will be done. So on our next interesting story, it's a bit out of the nation, is in DRC Congo. So pastor faces trial in DR Congo over child abductions. A pastor accused of child abduction appeared in court on Wednesday in Democratic Republic of Congo after 24 children reportedly disappeared. Oh, 2,000. That means 24 children. Jean Omari, pastor of the Christian Church for All Nations, Emmanuel, appeared in the eastern city of Goma on charges he was involved in the disappearance of dozens of children. The 45-year-old has been in prison since the beginning of the month, although his lawyers have unsuccessfully called for his release. No more specifics were given, but the names of a dozen missing children were read out to a hushed courtroom before an adjournment until October 19th. Omari was returned to his cell as tensions mounted outside a chaotic court. Supporters of the pastor gathered outside, some in tears and others chanting the innocence of the religious leader, whose church has some 4,000 followers. What? Parents of some of the missing children attended the session to demand action against the pastor. Security forces cleared the crowds after the hearing. Parent Jean Bosco Bonane said outside the courtroom that in total 24 children are missing, some for more than a year. We are waiting for the pastor to return our children to us, he said. Now, first, I don't even know this story if it's true. I don't know, I don't understand where a pastor with a big sum of followers, about 4,000 followers, I don't understand where he can take 24 children. It's a bit absurd. But in case it's true, then it's such a shame. It's such a shame. But again, maybe it can be accusation. So we don't stand a chance to really know if this is true. Sharon,
on that story, I think you don't have much information about it.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes people may come and fake you by the way without knowing. So if it's true, I think the person should be taken to the court and say the truth about those missing children. Yeah.
Okay. Some other stories?
So coming to another story, it's about higher education. So the University of Nairobi Institute is the one to lead studies on American culture and politics. As you all know, UN has been one of the greatest universities in Kenya and across the world. So it's told that the University of Nairobi is set to launch a newly established center for the study of the United States of America at the University of Nairobi campus. The center that will be domiciled in the Department of Diplomacy and International Studies will be launched on November 10th. So that's it's a good example to other universities across the world, and we say we are proud as Kenyans to have a university that can lead big states like America.
Yeah.
So we are so proud of that.
Wow. Congrats to you, UN. It's always our pride to have such a university, which can even connect us to the world out there, and it's really recognized as a very big university. Now to our last story, China slaps Kenya with 1.3 billion shillings fine for defaulting on SGR. No, Kenya defaulted on repayment of the Chinese loans provided to build the Standard Gauge Railway, highlighting the country's struggles with the mounting public debt. The Chinese banks fined Kenya 1.312 billion shillings in the year ended June for loan defaults. According to treasury documents seen by Business Daily, Kenya tapped over half a trillion shillings from Chinese leaders, led by the Export-Import Bank of China, to fund the construction of the SGR from Mombasa to Naivasha.
When is that?
You can tell us something about that, Abel?
You know, the other time we had a huge number of people being relieved from, you know, CRP and all that, but now the whole country has been blacklisted by China. So how is it possible? Like, how is it convincing that you are blacklisted and then you try to recruit some people here?
Yeah.
Like, it's not logical.
Yeah.
Let's pay the debt.
Yeah. Let's pay the debt.
They say ahadi ni deni na dawa ya deni ni kulipa.
Yeah,
So
true.
let's pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final sentence.
Okay, I think it's a big debt and it should be paid. And at the same time, we cannot blame these governments because it was taken the governments that has moved from the leading the country. So I think the country should come together, the government, and look upon paying those debts.
So, thank you so much, viewer, for being with us since we started the show. It has been Newspaper Review. See you next time. I've been your host, Regina Mwangi, with my two panelists, Abel and Shalon. See you next time, same place.